My name is Tyler Glock. I'm the Regional Manager of Outreach for Niznik Behavioral Health. Going into detox, usually the only thing on someone's mind is hopelessness. On my mind, I was completely hopeless. The idea that I had to wake up every day and go to bed every night dependent on something that controlled my life completely. That leaving my life was a hard concept to grasp. It was something that I didn't even see possible. So going into detox, I really had no idea what was ahead of me at all. I had no idea what sobriety looked like. Luckily, I do get to speak to people all the time right along those lines, and I share my own experience with them usually, that at the time it was my only focus. For some reason, I went from focusing every day on using drugs and alcohol to keeping what little things I had left when I didn't even know how to experience life. I would say to someone in that scenario, you can't really understand what you need to do right now. You need to let us think for you. Everything that you've been doing has led you where you are, and everything that we do leads people to sobriety. My first experience with residential, because there were a couple, was in a hospital setting. It felt really uncomfortable to me. I felt trapped. I felt like I was in an insane asylum. I felt really kind of overlooked. It was strange. I felt like I was physically sick and there was something wrong with me. My second experience in residential was actually a facility similar to ours. It had a campus. It was much more engaging. It let me feel like I wasn't trapped. It felt more like a safe space for me to use rather than a limiting area that I had to stay in. My experience was actually really good. I built great relationships with the people I was in treatment with. I learned something during that experience, that my recovery was based on relationships with other people in recovery. And that was my first time I was able to, and my first opportunity to be put in a community where other people shared the same problems I did. Being around them all the time forced me to look at what they were doing and say, hey, what you're doing isn't that great. And they looked at me and said, well, what you do isn't that great either. And I said, oh, so I had some accountability I had to take. Getting accountability from my peers was different. It was different than getting it from a therapist, because I looked at these people as my equals. I can laugh about this now, but it's not funny. When I was 19 years old and 18 years old, I took out a bunch of credit cards because I never thought I would be around to have to pay them back. And that's the reality that I lived in. And that actually ended up, being a little bit of a liability later in life. But, it was that's how serious I was about not thinking I was ever going to get out of it. I got into detox. My family had found me something. New Jersey was not thrilled about me continuing to be a resident there and encouraged my departure. So I came down to Florida like many people have and still do. It was definitely a good choice. I rebuilt a new life here. I came down when I was 24. I bumped my head a few times and stayed sober. I've been sober almost 10 years now. My life is completely amazing. I thought actually I was talking about it last night, there was a list of things I thought I wanted, and interestingly enough, I am 10 times happier than I was when I got sober. I actually got most of the things I wanted, right? And then I thought, this isn't that amazing. Now, things I didn't necessarily think I wanted in my life, I have, and it's just the best thing I could possibly ever imagine. I think not rescuing someone is very important. You can give people a chance and then give them another chance, but at a point it becomes enabling. A lot of times you have to let them hit their bottom. At my bottom, I felt like nobody could help me, and the reality was that nobody knew how to help me. No one around me, my family and my friends, especially my mother and my sister and my dad, they were stuck. They had no solution. They didn't understand why I was doing the things I was doing to myself, why I was hurting myself so badly. It didn't make sense to them. It took professional intervention. I know that they had it in their mind that one day I would grow out of it, one day I would change, I would just get better and grow up. I would start making right choices as opposed to the wrong ones. And it really wasn't about the right or wrong choice. It was about being an addict. And that's what I needed to address. And I needed to do it in a professional facility that could look at what I really needed and talk to me about my issues.